Welcome back. We're going to use this segment of the course to review the revised Learning Standards document. So we're still on the English Language Arts page, and if we scroll down about 2/3 of the way down the page, we'll see that the first bullet says New York State Next Generation English Language Arts Learning Standards. Go ahead and click on this link, and it'll open up the PDF document of the standards. If it's helpful to you, you can print this document or open it in a separate window as we explore it. However, please note that it is 127 pages long if you do intend to print it. Like the Common Core, the new standards begin with anchor standards. These have been reduced in number from 34 to 28 and are on pages 4 through 7 of the document. So if you've printed your document, you can go ahead and take some time to pause the video and review these pages. The anchor standards are broad statements about the expectations for students as they prepare for high school graduation, positioning them for college and careers. Each grade level standards is an interpretation of the anchor standards for that developmental level. So let's zoom in on one standard right now and see how it's interpreted at multiple grade levels. Let's look at Reading Anchor Standard number 4, which happens to be on page 4. And it's under the heading of Craft and Structure. Standard 4 says, interpret words and phrases as they are used in a text, including determining technical, connotative, and figurative meanings, and analyze how specific word choices shape meaning or tone. For obvious reasons, this would simply be way too much for a kindergarten or first grade student to tackle. Instead, what that standard is broken down at each grade level into a developmentally appropriate expectation. So let's jump ahead in the document to page 21. So on page 21, we have the kindergarten reading standards. And if we scroll down just a little bit and look at KR4 here, this is the kindergarten interpretation of what that standard would look like. Simply identify specific words that express feelings and senses. Now if we jump down to page 56, we can see the 4th grade interpretation of Anchor Standard 4 says, determine the meaning of words, phrases, figurative language, academic, and content-specific words. And then again, if we jump ahead to page 82, Grade 7 Reading Standard 4 is determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative and connotative meanings. Analyze the impact of specific word choices on meaning, tone, and mood, including words with multiple meanings. While we're here, let's also talk about that parenthetical reference at the end of the statement. Previously, with the old Common Core standards, the reading informational text and reading literary text standards were separated into 2 separate boxes. But in the new standards, these statements have been merged together and integrated, and it is indicated after each statement which genres should be explored. So for example, 7R5, there's a statement about what it looks like for reading literary text here, and there's a statement about what it means for reading informational text here. Now that we've explored how the anchor standards work and how they're interpreted at each grade level, let's go all the way back to the beginning of the document and go to page 8. So this is a new component of the new standards. And these are the lifelong practices of readers and writers statements. One of the ways that they were able to reduce the number of anchor standards was to transition some of those statements into this area. So take a moment here and pause the video, read over these bullets which apply to students in grades pre-K through 12, and consider the power of using this language with your students and how you might be able to display these statements in your classroom so that they become a cornerstone or a hallmark of what you're doing in the literacy time block. And then consider the value of these statements if they were used by each teacher, classroom to classroom, year after year. And welcome back once more. So let's take a look at an individual grade levels standards. We're going to jump back down in the document to page 63. And that brings us to the 5th grade standards. Each grade level standards begins with a narrative statement about what guidance and support mean at that level. It will then progress into the range of student reading experiences for each grade level. This is the component that addresses what students should be reading, and it even includes specific genres of literary and informational text right down in this section. If we continue to advance the page, we see that the narrative component continues. So each grade level has this narrative component to help the teacher navigate text complexity expectations for that grade level. So how complex should the text be? What types of things should the teacher be doing to explore text complexity? And next in line, there's also a new component to the standards which addresses the needs of diverse learners, such as English language learners, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities. Once we get to page 65, we see the reading standards addressed. As a reminder, these are the grade level interpretations of what the anchor standards should look like at that grade level. Here's reading standards foundational skills. And as we continue to scroll down, we get to page 67, which is where the writing standards begin. We see that production and range of writing experiences for 5th grade is the narrative component here. And this statement addresses what types of writing students should be doing and how it should be produced. There's even keyboarding skills addressed in these statements. Beneath that, the standards continue for writing, speaking, listening, and language. So here's the speaking and listening standards. And here are the language standards. And every grade level follows that very same format. Now, if we advance down again to page 117, we come to the appendix. And this is the list of standards for conventions of academic English language for learning grade band skills. So these have been divided into grade level chunks. So for example, pre-K through 2 has its own sort of set of standards that can be addressed however a district locally chooses. Grades 3 through 5, and of course 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. And finally, in Appendix B, we see a glossary of terms. And that really concludes the overview of the standards document. So this is a really good time to, again, suspend the course and take some time going through this document and looking at your specific grade level or the grade level of students that you teach. Even if you're a content area teacher, it's helpful to know what standards should be addressed in your specific classroom in terms of reading, writing, listening, speaking, and all of the skills therein. Thank you.